Cool.
Yeah. Oh, we are now live. We are now live.
Now live.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's already started.
Oh my.
Oh.
It started a while ago. It started live as I was doing my silent countdown to the camera.
Oh, excellent.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to my own private Kokomo. I'm Ryan Meharry. Here with Dave Tooney and a very special guest today, the wonderful Tom Vaughan. Tom, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. Hello from the great state of Texas.
How are things in Texas?
Pretty calm. I'm in the suburbs now. I've got a little suburban house down in South Houston, and there's been, other than the grocery store, of people kind of acting weird there. There's been very little indication anything is going on. And I've been working at home for nearly 20 years, so
yeah,
this is nothing for me.
Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And is Houston? How hard hit is it there?
Hardly at all.
Okay.
I mean, you know, I'm sure the people who actually have COVID-19 are disagreeing with that.
Yeah, it sucks.
yeah, it's terrible down here. But yeah, certainly well within the hospitals, and like nothing's overwhelming. Everyone obviously did a very good job of flattening the curve.
Are you out there protesting now, demanding that they reopen the economy?
No, I am doing my civil disobedience on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. I'd have to wear a mask if I went outside. So I'm doing all my angry protest on Twitter. On
all your different Twitter accounts with just the egg avatar?
Yeah, there's me and about 6 sock puppets.
Yeah, with screen names like Lock Her Up, X Lock Her Up, X 78176.
78176. How else do you keep track of them?
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on today, Tom. Let's talk. We've had a fun, exciting week. What better way to top it off? I want to learn something. I feel like one thing that I look everywhere online. Everyone's learning how to bake. Everyone, like my stepdaughter's learning how to speak Greek. And
so there's varying degrees of usefulness in all these things that we learn.
I have been playing a lot of Call of Duty and Madden, and eating a lot of Oreos. I don't know if I'm bettering myself much.
Yeah.
So, a great thing about having a show like this is I can get a professional to come on and teach me their craft for free.
Great.
Well, I guess I'd say improv. You want to start off by Ryan? You're gonna probably want to like work on a little bit more space work.
Yeah.
We're talking about professionals. Is that what we're doing? Professional in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would like to talk about Madden for a bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I did not. Do you play Friends online?
Oh, if I had friends.
Now, wouldn't that be sweet?
I play strangers online.
Okay.
And I don't know headset, nothing like that. So that I don't partake in any sort of trash talking.
Okay.
I think my career record is something like 138 in 80. So I'm pretty good.
Not bad at all.
So
it's not online.
But as I've gotten better, they start pairing you up with people of similar skill level, and I think I've reached my apex because I'm getting dominated these days.
Yeah, they know all that. Like, there's at that point you're dealing with a lot of sociopaths.
Oh, monsters, true monsters, and I like to play. I like it to be a faithful simulation to actual football. So I will punt on 4th and 7, whereas like my opponents will go for it on 4th and 41, and
get it.
Oh yeah, a waltz into the end zone for a touchdown. It's very frustrating.
I stopped playing Madden online when Michael Vick was a player, and they would drop back Michael Vick about 30 yards, and then he would nail a crossing. It was like one of those unstoppable trick plays.
I remember that one. Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do this anymore. But
Lamar
I'm very,
Jackson has been pretty close. Has been pretty tough.
I'm very interested in playing friends who aren't sociopaths with Madden. But I would have to stop playing Fallout to do that.
What system do you play on?
PS4.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I made the mistake.
That was a disappointed reaction you just gave to my.
I made the mistake of getting Madden on Xbox, and everyone I know has it on PlayStation 4.
And can you play each other? No, that's a whole different.
No cross-platforming.
That's so bizarre.
I don't think they have cross-platforming.
I think that sounds accurate. I don't know well enough to correct that, but it sounds.
Junie, is that accurate?
Well, I'm just trying to remember is it available on the Sega Saturn or not?
The Dreamcast.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
But I have a Sega Saturn.
I'll see if they do.
Yeah.
I'll check.
Yeah, I'll get onto Yahoo and take a look.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think they do.
Yeah, I don't think. Dave, is that a flag of Red China above your head?
Mm-hmm.
Better believe it.
You better believe it.
All right, just
my favorite place.
You painted over the gold star.
Whose background painting is more distressing, mine or Dave's?
Distressing?
Yeah.
Definitely yours.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
Should I not have it as my background?
I think you could frame it better.
Frame it better.
Yeah.
I mean, if I sat like this, would that be better?
It's a little wobbly now, but yes, it is better. Because with the shelves in the back, you look a little. It humanizes you.
Yeah, I'm too tall, and I don't have the table I'm at. I need, I guess, I'm holding this up very high in the air to get it to look like this.
Can you just do that for the duration?
Hold on, let me try this. A little planter here.
Or what you could do is you could take a picture of your wall and then use it as a green screen thing, and then just always have it so it is your wall, but it's always perfectly.
I like that.
Like this?
Yes, take that picture, and then that will be your green screen background.
I like that a lot.
Here, I'll post a picture of this setup on our Instagram. It is something else. I put it my computer on a planter.
Perfect.
A pot.
That's a planter pot. Yeah, so I showed my wife some clips from the Tony episode.
Yeah.
Which one I just want to comment about you guys having Tony and then Steger and then like people that you've had nothing but great chemistry with for years and years, and I follow up with that. So I'm a little annoyed by that. But that being said, I showed chemistry with Tony of the I just because I could not stop laughing of the keep going comment with and my wife has met Dave. She has met Dave, but she has not met you before, and I've mentioned you many times. I go, Ryan. She goes, what? And I go, the guy baseball games with Dad, and she goes, oh yeah. So it's the first time.
I think I did meet her very briefly.
You think?
Yeah, I think after a Bangarang show.
Okay. Yes, you probably did, because she did come to a Bangarang show. And her comment was, he's good looking.
Hey. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
What did she say? What did she say about me?
I remember Dave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
I know Dave.
But Ryan.
Ooh. Right. And that was for the Tony episode, right? You didn't show the Stinger one, and she was saying Ryan.
No. Was there? Yeah.
Show her the Stinger one.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah. Please don't.
No, that's also for me too. That's my.
Yeah.
I know better than that.
Yeah. No, just keep away.
Yeah. Sure.
Well, something we should mention here is, for those of you who don't know, as we get into it, Tom is a longtime screenwriter.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Has written several movies, and currently, in addition to writing movies, teaches at the University of Houston.
Yes,
right?
My beloved alma mater.
Yeah, your alma mater. That's right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about that. So
Sure.
you go to Houston, University of Houston.
Yes.
You grew up in the area, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And so you got your degree in writing, screenwriting. What's
I was an actor at the University of Houston, and then I switched over to playwriting.
Gotcha.
And I was a 6-year sophomore when I dropped out.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah,
I was like,
very-
this is not, I was not getting a lot done at that point. But I was just using my parents kept paying for school, strangely enough. So I just milked that as much as I could until finally it was like, this is just robbery now.
Yeah.
This is just disrespectful to every generation in my family. So I dropped out and then switched to screenwriting, and had some really fortunate breaks that I was very lucky to have. But around 2005 or 2006, which is actually right after I got introduced to UCB, my old drinking neighborhood was the Franklin Strip.
Oh yeah.
And so I went back there one day to visit, and UCB was there. And I had never really heard of it. I didn't know anything about improv. So I went in there and just saw some shows and saw some ASCAT and just watched Andy Daly and just thought Andy Daly was the funniest damn thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I want to do that. I want to learn that.
For sure.
And Andy Daly taught me 201 and 301.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was my 201 teacher and my 301 teacher. Yeah. And it was a great crop. It was like Paul Rust and Neil Campbell, I think, were in 401 with me. Like it was like kind of like the first generation of students at the LA UCB. And then my career had dried up. Like no one wanted to hire me.
At that point?
Yeah, just my writing career was kind of done at that point. Just a lot of,
Sure.
Yeah.
If we could backtrack a little bit. So
Sure.
when you get to LA,
Mhm.
and what sort of jobs do you take to kind of work your way up into your writing career? Like kind of what were you doing to get your foot in the door?
Again, I was very, very fortunate. I moved to LA. I got an agent and a producer on a project, and I moved to LA. So I never had a day job in LA. I was just very, very fortunate. And my first agency was CAA. And so like I moved out there. I was with them for 6 years. And again, I was not the easiest person to work with. That was back in my drinking days, and
when you say not so, just because of drinking, or just like was there like an ego at the time?
Yeah, there was a completely unjustified ego of how talented I was and how in demand I was and how necessary I was to anyone, let alone the business.
Did you have something that you had written already that kind of got you in the door for like CAA? Was there something like that?
Oh yeah. That was my third or fourth script, and they came on and we sold that, and that was the first thing. And that ended up being, I think 4 years later, the Wesley Snipes film.
Oh, okay.
Nine Lives. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Very cool. And I started teaching on the side. Someone asked me to teach. And so I thought, all right, I'll give it a shot. But I was real nervous about it, and no one, let's see, probably the wrong word, but I always felt like there was a lot of people teaching screenwriting who shouldn't be teaching screenwriting. So I was very nervous to do it. I didn't know if I had anything of value to add. And this is going back and forth, a lot of timelines, because in 2000, I moved back to LA or back to Houston because I thought I could. I thought my career was at a point where I could.
Gotcha.
And it wasn't. I didn't go back to LA enough, but I was teaching in Houston. When I finally moved back in 2005, essentially to salvage my career, because I moved to Houston too quickly, too early.
Yeah.
That's where that timeline with UCB started. And I was in LA about a year before I realized this is over. Like this career is over. I got a good long run. I had an 8-year career It's
Yeah.
not uncommon for a creative career to be that short. And we felt lucky that I had got some movies made. I think I had 4 movies made at that
Absolutely.
point and made a living at it for 8 years.
But you weren't done yet, my friend.
Yeah, but I moved back to Texas and thought maybe it's time to finally get my degree.
Okay.
And actually went back to school full time in my 30s and got my degree in political science.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then an old script of mine on the shelf sold, and it was good timing because I was starting to kind of miss it. I was starting to miss the career, starting to miss writing, and I ended up, kind of reviving my career a little bit. And then I moved back I used that to direct a really small film
Okay.
that didn't do what I wanted it for me career-wise. But, I did it and it kept kind of snowballing. And then I moved back to LA, I think in 2011.
Okay.
And then missed improv and started taking classes again.
Is that kind of when we got acquainted with you?
Yeah, that's around that area. I think you
Yeah.
and I met in 2013 or 14.
Yeah, it's a
Something
blur.
like that. Around that time, we met. You coached a group I was with for a little bit. Is how we met.
Yes, and
Ryan did?
Yes.
yeah, a rare coaching appearance.
Yeah.
Because Tom, the way when you say that there's a lot of people who are teaching screenwriting who should not be teaching screenwriting. I was somebody who was coaching improv who had no business coaching improv. It's something I can do it okay. I can do improv okay. Explaining it, relaying it,
Yes.
watching it, and diagnosing what's happening in it. No, like it's.
I remember getting done with you. I think we had 3 or 4 sessions, and I remember going, "Yeah, he's adequate."
Yeah, I mean, if I got a feedback card that said adequate, I would have been like, "Hey, all right, adequate." There, in not your group, but there was like another group that I coached roughly kind of around the same time. I felt like I was like, I'm stealing your money. This isn't right. Like this isn't. They're like, they were good, and they needed some sort of guidance, but I couldn't. They were too advanced for me to like really narrow in what it was they needed.
Yeah.
And it was just it was a mess.
Yeah. What you should do in that case is videotape them, and then like show it to Will Hines or something.
Somebody good.
And, Will will tell you what to say, and
Yeah.
then come back the next. Like, I've been thinking about this. This is what you guys need to work on, and they'll be like, "Oh,
I'll cut him like
good.
20%, 20% of the $70.
Yeah.
And,
He's not adequate. He just needs time to think."
yeah, I really do. Honestly, if I had if I could rewatch it a few times and then diagnose, I'd probably be okay. But like when I'm watching it there in person, one, like I have the worst ADD, and so like for me to try to like catalog notes and stuff, and I'll try to write it down, but then while I'm writing, I'm having to focus very hard on what it is I'm trying to remember to write, and I'm missing everything else that's going on. And so it's like, I'm not built for this.
Yeah. I remember when I started teaching screenwriting and being forced to kind of, well, this is why I would make this decision. And like, you actually kind of move like what's talent and gut level to like a tool. Because like now I can verbalize it, I can put a word on it. Now it's accessible to me every time rather than just gut instinct. But I started teaching for a couple of years, and it made me realize that I probably made a living as a screenwriter for 6 years before I had any idea what I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
Those first few years I thought because I was getting a paycheck, then clearly I must be a professional. I must know what I'm doing, but I didn't have a clue.
So when let's talk about these screenwriting classes. Do you teach one particular course? Do you have like a couple, like one like introduction to screenwriting, and then stuff?
Yeah,
like
I started doing a 101 and a 201 kind of based off of the language, because it was Becky Drysdale who really pushed me to teach within the improv community.
Yeah,
because there was no one teaching feature films in the improv community. So Becky, really pushed me, encouraged me. I started teaching at the clubhouse, and then I just tried to put it into language people could understand, of like 101, 201.
Yeah,
That's what they've been used to.
for sure.
And then with these classes I've been doing, the pay what you can classes during the shutdown, it's been essentially 3 different workshops. Of 1, of structure, the basics, and then 2, how to what I call improve the read, which is choices to make on the page to make it flow, make it more exciting, make it more energetic, more emotional. And then the one I'm teaching on Sunday is from idea to outline, which is you have an idea, maybe it's formulated, maybe it isn't, but like, how do you take that actual idea and turn it into an outline that you can then write?
Go from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
For these pay what you can classes, have you had anyone be like, "We can do a penny"?
No, I did it in increments. I did it at like, you've just gotten killed during the shutdown, so it's free.
Yeah.
And then things aren't great, you can pitch in, it was $25.
Yeah.
And then
We do
full price, and then full price. And then some people have been like, they really like the class, and so they send me like a Venmo. But even then, it's just more of a gesture of respect than anything else.
For sure.
So,
For sure.
but it's been really fun because it's we've got 195 people signed up for Sunday. I average about 140 people a workshop.
And everyone is not allowed to mute themselves. Everyone's allowed to just.
I mute every one of those sons of bitches. Like, you cannot speak
Yeah.
in that class. Yeah, there's too many people.
I mean, if you did have a class clown, they could run Russia.
They're good 70% improvisers. We've got plenty of people that love their jokes, and so it's chat. So it's they're funny people.
Oh, so they're not. You can't see them on the video, or you can.
I can see. I think the maximum you can see is 99, and then everyone else. But not everyone. If they're not going to say anything, they don't want to be on the damn video. But I like it because you can see people. You can react to them. You can see their confused looks, or if you tell a joke, you can see them laugh and smile, and like, it makes you feel less like there's nobody out there.
Yeah. Is it weird, like, when somebody, I don't know, like, gets up or is like just like talking on the phone?
I haven't seen it yet. But there is one. I saw one person cook. They were like cooking their lunch.
Yeah.
But it was fine because they were listening,
Yeah, I think so. Like, like, I'm somebody who kind of listens a little better if I have something with me to like kind of keep me busy a bit. So yeah.
And it was actually nice because there's been so many people that I know, and then other people who I know by reputation. Like, I don't know them personally, but I knew of them as improvisers and watching them for years.
What are some mistakes like kind of new young writers make that if you could give them some advice to be like, just right off the bat, maybe don't do this thing?
And maybe some of the mistakes that like you remember as you look back on your early days, like, oh, I did this and maybe I should have done this instead. Like some of the things that maybe you can recall from your own life.
I know certainly a big thing we talk about is it's not plot. It's not about plot. Like it's a natural tendency early on to add more plot rather than just having fun and exploring what you already have there.
Gotcha.
And I have found, we talked about this in the workshop, I love sketch writers who can shift into a narrative thinking because they know how to take an idea and explore it. They know how to take an idea and heighten it and have fun with it. And the challenge is to move away from the heighten, leave, and then stick with the heightening in a way to create a dramatic question and story momentum into the next scene. Just keeping that momentum going. But whether it's a horror film or it's an action film or a comedy, you're still dealing with game-based scenes.
For sure. Just is there something too, like when you're teaching just kind of screenwriting, 101? I mean, everything's kind of got structure is the same. The bones are kind of the same.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like genre, do you have to like, where does genre come in when you're teaching? Do you have to?
Yeah, definitely expectations, what we expect to see and kind of the currency of what you're dealing with.
Right.
Like I use the phrase a lot of just have fun with it. Have fun with it. And that's in reference to no matter the genre.
Now, so when I was coaching improv, I would give the exact opposite note.
I remember.
I would say,
yeah.
Toil in this.
Yeah, we tried it. I remember distinctly like giving it a like.
Toil in the misery.
Yes. So
As I
and
sit there watching
that knowing what the fun is.
Yeah.
A horror film, the fun can be either suspense, tension, or even like the imagination of gore or like whatever it is. An action film, the fun is very different. A drama, a character drama, like why we're here. What's the currency of this particular genre,
Sure.
and are you exploiting it? And recognizing your relationship with the audience is they give you money, and in return you evoke emotion.
Yeah.
And that there's a certain agreement that you have of what that emotion is going to be, depending on the genre.
Now,
And
I sneak into most of the movies I see, so I never pay money. So I have no expectation whatsoever. And more often than not, it works out for me.
Yeah, I mean, if you have zero expectation, there's no transaction. I once had a friend said, "Hey, I downloaded a torrent of your movie. It's great."
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, like, oh, all right.
You just say I saw it, I watched it.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me how. No, go into details.
I snuck into your house last night and stole your wallet and watched your movie.
Yeah, your paintings are great.
Tom, I have a question for you. And this is maybe kind of a two-parter. Part one is on average for you, when you've written a movie, how many realizing that you might write a certain scene over more times than other scenes, but on average, how many rewrites would you say that you tend to do on your own movies?
Countless, like,
Countless.
and yeah, and it's not that it's like so infinite. It's just how you're revising and changing. Like here, I just finished the first act of a project, and before I go on to the second act, I'm going to rewrite and revise this several times.
Yeah.
And then I will go on to that, and then obviously writing script, like scenes and rewriting scenes, and then your agent will have thoughts, and your managers will have thoughts, and then producers will have thoughts, and friends will have thoughts, and hopefully trusted friends.
And that's the norm, kind of, right?
Totally the norm.
Are there any writers that you know of, famous or otherwise, that just like they go through it, they do one take, and they say, there's the script. I'm not touching a word. I did it perfect on the first go. I'm sure they're out there.
Like I had a project I was going to do with Paul Schrader, there was like Taxi Driver was famously written in 21 days.
Yeah.
And that's always been very intimidating to me, that you could write something so perfect. And apparently he has the same schedule that he does. Like he tends to write within that. And then I found out, well, yeah, that's how much he writes, but he intricately outlines beforehand.
Gotcha.
And
so yeah,
so it's like, oh, well, okay, that's a little more human.
Yeah. When you're writing and you're on a schedule, like let's say just on a day-to-day, like how regimented is your schedule? Do you have like a set, like I need to get pages?
Yeah, pre-lockdown or post-lockdown?
Let's hear both. I'm curious about both.
I was much more efficient when I was younger. when I was younger, I would get up and I would write until 3 or 4 a.m. and get up around noon and then start writing again. And it was fun and focused. And I've always really, really enjoyed whether it's writing or a stupid video game, or I remember Playmaker football used to get me really obsessed of just being able to sit down and put all my focus into this. And as I got older, it became progressively harder to stay focused on one thing.
Okay.
And
what do you think that is?
I don't know. I certainly, the internet hasn't helped, that having that constant bit of information is there, having other interests, not being as desperate to succeed as I was when I was younger. I had a lot of my self-esteem wrapped up in my writing, and this very unhealthy thought of, if I'm not successful, I'm not worth loving. I have to keep working so I can be successful, and then I will be worth loving. And that's apparently a very motivating thought. That'll keep you going. Yeah, and now I know I will never be worth loving, and so what's the point? So just forget about it. And as you get older, you start to have more healthy thoughts and more healthy life, and friendships and relationships are more important. But not just your wife and your family, but your friendships, and then again the internet. I mentioned the internet.
Yes.
Trying to figure that out. So right now I try to get to work around 9 and I try to finish around 6. But I would say within that stretch, there's probably only 3 or 4 solid hours of writing.
Gotcha.
And the rest is other shit.
And then do you have by the end of the day, you need to have this sort of accomplished? Or is it just, I'm just working from this time to this time and we'll see what we get done?
If I'm in outline mode, I try not to worry about what I've accomplished. Gotcha. Because you don't know what's going to come. You don't know if you're going to figure it out. You can't really force it.
Sure.
But once you get to outline mode, I think five solid workable pages a day is a good day. And by the time you're done, when you rewrite and you trim, those 5 pages will likely turn into 3 pages.
Sure.
You'll trim it down and make it more solid. But if I finish the day with 5 pages, I feel like I've had a good solid.
You mentioned, having your self-esteem tied up so much in what you're writing. And I feel like, I'm sure that's something that you come across a lot with younger writers. And then in turn, so that means when you're trying to teach them, give them notes, guidance, I'm assuming you run into a lot of people not being able to take the note, or kind of arguing, being stubborn. How do you kind of...
Well, one of the first things we talk about in the very first class is being teachable.
Okay.
And I talk about improv a lot, as far as me taking classes in my 30s and then taking classes again in my 40s, and being in classes with people 10, 15 years younger than me who were so much better at it than I was.
Sure.
And seeing them kill it, and seeing them just so fearless and funny and smart and charismatic at this thing that I want to be good at, because it's so much fun when it works.
Right.
I really want to be good at this, because 1 out of every 20 scenes is really fun for me because it works. And so I've got to get it to be 2 out of 20. I got to get it to be, and then watch these kids who just are naturals at it, are so good at it. And what that does for your self-esteem and your confidence, and how challenging it is to be a student as an adult, because we spend so much time as kids. We know we're going to be shitty at something, and if we find something we're good at, we compare it to people our age. We look at other 7th graders. I'm actually a little better than these other 7th graders. And if a 9th grader is better at it than you are, you're like, I don't care, he's in 9th grade. I'll be that good in 9th grade.
Right.
And so that keeps you even keeled. And then as an adult, you tend to focus just on things you're good at. like something that you're not good at, you don't spend that much time on it, you'd rather focus on this thing you're good at. And then being an improv student was such a reminder of how hard it is to be an adult and not good at something you want to be good at.
Yeah.
And the resistance that it creates and the desire. And I also was suffering from social anxiety in the midst of learning how to improvise.
Oh, that's tough.
And then that was like the doubly, like the I remember I was doing a scene, Drew DeFonso Marks, and I told him this story once. I didn't tell him for like 2 years. He was coaching
Watching
his,
right now.
is he watching?
Watching right now. He just said, Tom, you were always awesome in boot camp.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know if heading in boot camp was a qualifier or not. Just you're awesome there, but nowhere else.
So, but Drew was coaching once, and I had an anxiety attack on stage.
Oh, damn.
And all I remember that whole time was trying, like, don't let anyone know, don't let anyone know, don't let anyone know, as my vision was getting more and more tunnel vision, and just trying to plow through it.
Did something trigger it? Do you know, or is it just it just came on?
It came on mostly from when I quit drinking. I started to do some stuff, and then when I started to do improv, it started to come up, and I just thought I was nervous about improvising, and I was nervous about performing again because it had been so long since I performed. And then what we basically figured out was the drinking. I had been self-medicating with the drinking for years.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of covering it up.
Sure.
And when I quit drinking, they put me on this real mild antidepressant to help me through the drinking. And at some point, I'm like, damn, about a year being sober, I was like, I'm the happiest I've ever been. I don't know if it's because I quit drinking or these damn pills they gave me.
Yeah.
I'm not quitting either one. I'm just going to stay being happy.
Combination of both. Yeah.
Yeah. And then at one point I was like, I gotta take, just kind of go this healthy lifestyle. And I got off the pills. And it turns out that those pills are actually very, very good for social anxiety. So when I got off them, it actually revealed that I have had social anxiety all my life.
Just out of curiosity, do you mind sharing what medication it was?
Yeah, it's Paxil.
Paxil. Okay.
Yeah. I don't mind you. I'm an open book about this.
Yeah.
There's always this little moment of like, is this too much information? Is it?
Not at all.
But at the same time, of like people knowing maybe they're in the same circumstance, and then they should probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I decided to quit the Paxil, and I weaned off it over like this long stretch of time, real healthy, did it the right way, did everything. And then about 3 months later, the anxiety started to kick in.
Okay.
And I went to my doctor so pissed off that in my 40s, I developed social anxiety. He's like, how is that even possible? You developed this in your 40s. And then we figured out that was probably the main source of my drinking. Was that any social event, any discomfort, I was eventually self-medicating. So, and now I'm 17 years sober, 18 years sober now. So
yeah, that's great. Congratulations.
That's really great.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
What are, for those of us who are living in LA yet, you are living in Houston.
Yes.
We're living in LA. Once this is lifted, this stay at home is lifted. We want to get out. We want to be writing. Give us some of your recommendations of your old writing haunts, places you think are good to write in LA.
I lived in 2 apartments. I think were excellent. So if you can get those apartments, it was 403 on Del Mar Avenue. It was really good.
Got it.
And I believe it was 2200 Beechwood Drive, which was excellent.
Beechwood, everyone lives on Beechwood at some point.
Yeah. I do miss that Beechwood apartment. I still dream about it all the time. Where oh my God, my cats are in my Beechwood apartment. I haven't fed them.
Yeah.
I gotta go feed my cats. I've never really enjoyed writing publicly. I don't know how people do it. I
don't
have
either.
the slightest idea how to do that. Um, but I tell everyone now, just find the community. Like, I'm so grateful for the improv community of being. I would say it's 80% of my friends now from LA are improvisers, or at least within that community in some way.
It's the best place. Yeah.
Yeah. That's my advice to anyone who moves to LA. It's like, it's so easy to stay in your apartment and work and write and then kind of burn out. But if you have a creative community, if you have a social center, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and it'll definitely help you last, I think, like if you're kind of all alone and then things get tough, like I think it's easier to throw in the towel. But if you've got a solid support group, a net there, and a community that is constantly challenging you in new ways, I think it keeps you bigger.
Who knows what you're going through? Who understands it? And my particular favorite are improvisers, because they are so team based. Like my experience with comedians have not been like, they're just a very competitive group. Stand-ups, comedians, very competitive group. Whereas I have never, I remember actors. I remember seeing a friend, like one friend got a regular role on a TV show, and our mutual friend was like crying about it, like not happy, but of like, what does that mean for my career? And I don't mean to demean the emotion of it, but like, you're like, whereas my experience with improvisers is just nothing but positive support, nothing but happiness, nothing like just a belief that like we are all on the same journey and helping each other out.
Yeah. Tom, before we end, I want to talk to you because I'm fascinated. You are a huge Houston sports fan.
Yes.
And I would say right now it's got to be a very difficult time to be a Houston sports fan, right? Like, I mean, and like, I don't mean, I'm more just because as somebody who is experienced a lot of heartbreak and torment at the hands of their sports teams, I empathize 100%.
Does this have anything to do with the fact that the Chiefs just won the Super Bowl that you're bringing this up, Ryan?
Honestly, it makes it harder for me to have this conversation because I don't want this. Like, I'd rather commiserate with you in doing this. So first off, let me so you're a fan of Houston sports across the board.
Across the board.
Can you rank them? Is there like one love you hold?
Well, my beloved alma mater, U of H football, is my primary.
Gotcha.
I would say then the Astros, and then a very, very close third to that would be U of H basketball.
Okay.
And then the Rockets, and I am, even though I've been a season ticket holder since the inaugural year, I am emotionally withdrawing from the Texans.
Is that because of Bill O'Brien?
Yes.
It's insane. Like,
what? I don't know this. What's the deal with Bill O'Brien? He's their coach.
He's their coach. He's their GM. It's such an example of failing upwards, where the more he fails, the more power he gets, and the more destructive he gets. So it's
a bit of a power grab when they didn't have a general manager, and he kind of just assumed the position, and it's been a train wreck.
Trading away every good player, not negotiating with good players.
This offseason has been so. DeAndre Hopkins, the star wide receiver for the Texans, probably easily top 3 wide receiver, probably second best in the league.
Yeah.
Just a true superstar, still in his prime. Kind of out of nowhere earlier this offseason, the Texans trade him to the Arizona Cardinals for a 2nd round draft pick. And then
an overpriced, tired running back.
Yeah, somebody who's like, they took on like a bloated contract.
Yeah.
Very bizarre, very bizarre.
Just weird.
And everyone immediately was like, oh, this is a terrible move. It's a terrible move. And then it got highlighted because like 4 days later, the Buffalo Bills traded a first round pick and a fourth round pick
Just a
to
pile of picks.
the Minnesota Vikings for Stephon Diggs, who's a very good wide receiver, but nowhere near the caliber of DeAndre Hopkins. And then the Texans have just kind of doubled down on the mistake, and they just traded for Brandon Cooks, who's another expensive contract, for a second round pick. So who's one concussion away from having to retire.
Yeah.
And
not cheap either.
And not cheap. He's his own bloated contract. So dealing with that kind of frustration, and I don't mean to pile on, but I'm just fascinated by, because I know how emotionally invested you are.
Yeah.
That piled on with the Astros saga. My question to you is, was the coronavirus pandemic welcome relief?
If the coronavirus had managed to take up all of my Twitter feed, it would have been.
Yes.
But since it only took up about 80% of my Twitter feed, and the other 20% were Texans. Now the good thing is it did mostly take off the Astros from my Twitter.
Yeah.
So that was good. But that's because the Astros front office has wisely kept their mouths shut through the last 3 months. Whereas Bill O'Brien, not only does he make one mistake after another, he seems determined to do interviews trying to justify it. So there's a new stupid quote like every few days of what Bill O'Brien has said trying to justify this particular thing. So my PSL is literally for sale. Yeah, literally for sale. That if I could get even a half decent price for my PSL, I would sell it and then take the money I spend on the Houston Texans every year and just shift it over to my beloved Cougs.
But you still love the team, like they're still your team, but...
Yeah, I'll watch them on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm also like, I got a family now. It's tough to do a Saturday college game and then go to a Sunday football game. Like
your family's still pretty new and exciting. Give it some time, and then you'll be like
get out of here.
It'll be 11:30 p.m. on a Tuesday, and you're like, there's no sports on. There's nothing I can do to get away from all of this.
Tom, I have a question for you. I know we're wrapping up. I want to back it up just a minute here. Can you tell us, how when they talk to musicians and the musicians would be like, I remember the first time I heard my song on the radio, and they'll tell you about that time. Can you tell us about, and it could be any number of examples. Can you tell us about one of your early, the first time you sold the script, or the first time you saw your movie in the theater, or just at home, or what was the feeling? One of those early successes and how that felt, where you were, what it was.
Well, Winchester was my first film in theaters, widely released in theaters. So I think we were 2,500 screens, 3,000 screens, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
and that was in what? That was 2016?
17. And there was commercials. So I was with my mother. I was visiting Houston, and there would be commercials because she still watches network TV because she's in her 80s. So commercials are still a part of her life. And there was a commercial for Winchester and my name on it, and Helen Mirren speaking my lines. Because the end result of that film was not all mine. It was actually very little of mine, particularly the second half. But a lot of Helen's signature lines I wrote. So that was fun to see with my mom.
Stuff that made the marketing material.
Yeah, the marketing and be able to just see her see it and be excited. And definitely missing that my dad didn't get to see that campaign. And I remember seeing, it was actually in 2005, when I was improvising at a Blockbuster Video, of seeing one of my films like take up a shelf on the Blockbuster Video. And that was really fun. That was really fun. And then I was in Houston for one of my TV movies, and we all got together and watched one of my TV movies
That's dope.
on TV. So
That's so cool.
yeah. And then early, I have a lot of memories of scripts not selling. So those are very good. That was good. Of the phone call from the agent going, yeah, I don't think we're going to sell this one.
$40. I'll take $40 for it.
I think I actually did with the producer once. I said, they can't even give me like a couple $100,000 for it. And he was like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
It was like I didn't know. I just kept reading in the trades of like how much people were selling scripts for. So I had no idea. So I was like, they can't give me a couple $100,000.
You're gonna tell me Warner Brothers can't give me $200,000?
I think they got it somewhere.
That was my attitude.
Saving for a rainy day, just getting it over.
They're broke. What?
Okay. Both brothers. Tom, thank you so much for coming on. This was great. Super informative. Always good to hear from you. Appreciate
I miss you guys. I can't wait to get to LA.
Yeah.
We're here. We're fly out tomorrow.
Yeah, and we got an Angels game this year once they start playing again.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Well, the oldest stadiums in baseball.
We'll all travel to Phoenix to it's all our favorite teams.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much, Tom. Guys, next Monday is 420. Dave and I haven't decided officially what we're doing, but we will. I'm sure we'll celebrate in some capacity. I believe James Mastriani has agreed to come on as a guest and help us out in a way. But so we will see you guys next week. Until then, keep going. Bye, guys.
Bye.